I feel like if you really get inside of someone, and like I was sort of alluding to earlier, if you begin to understand, even if they do things that you don't you don't approve of, things that you're like, well, I would never do that. But if you can understand why they're doing that, I love the psychology of writing, of sort of figuring out the world that way.
Do you read your stuff aloud?
I mean, at readings and stuff I do. I know that's one of the tips a lot of people will use. They'll read it to get the rhythm right. I think because I revise so extensively. Now, this may be a bit of an obsession with me because I had someone, read over a passage to make sure that I hadn't missed anything, the final proofs for Victorine. And he was reading it aloud to me, and he said, comma, and then he went on to the next part of the sentence, and I said, wait, there's not a comma there. I know I put a semicolon, and I didn't know I knew that. So I'm like, okay, I may be a little bit obsessive about revising.
That's good. And how do you feel about the character herself, Victorine? How did she come out?
We don't know a lot about her historically, and that's been both a blessing and a curse. I do know someone's working on a biography of her, so factually, I may be proven wrong on some things that we don't know yet about her. I don't know. I mean, but I feel like emotionally, I feel like I captured who she was. I captured, I hope, the time period. And I've just really fallen for her. I mean, she was just, in my viewpoint, a very accomplished person, besides, going to painting school when she had no money. I mean, she comes from a poor family. The fact that, there wasn't a lot of approval for women painters at the time, except for doing sort of arts and crafts sort of things. And she showed her paintings in the Paris Salon, which, at the time, if you didn't show your work in the Paris Salon, you weren't considered a real artist. Wow. So she must have had some real abilities, or she wouldn't have been able to. So I hope I capture these things. I hope I capture the idea that I really feel like art became more important to her even than relationships, and that sometimes a person needs that.
Is there a little bit of you in Victorine?
People have asked that, and I think a little bit. I think I love stories of people who just live the way they want to live, and they make no excuses. They do whatever they want. This string of bad characters, bad, quote, bad. That bad's not the word, but people behaving badly. There's a lot of that on TV right now, and I sort of give Victorine full sway to be able to be who she has to be. And I think not that I would want to be a bad, quote, bad person behaving badly, but I give her a little more freedom than I'm a little more of a rule keeper probably than she is.
It's good to explore that with the character. That's the best thing about writing. You do stuff you can't.
Oh yeah. Oh, so much fun. Yeah, I'm like, well, I would never do that, but boy, would she. Let's go for it. Yeah.
Was it told from first-person point of view or third-person point of view?
Yes, first-person point of view. I can't seem to drag myself out of that. I love the immediacy. And I'm also using present tense, which gives it even more immediacy. There are limitations to that, but for me, I felt like that was helping me get closer to her and to get inside of her, and also you're able to do a lot of more interiority, explore her thoughts and why she's doing things, and that very much interests me.
How long did it take to complete the novel?
Well, there's a story in itself. So I had an opportunity to be part of this really great writing workshop, but only if I had a novel ready by the deadline. So they notified me, do you want to be a part of this exclusive, 6 or 5-member workshop? But if so, you have to have your material to us in 6 months. Well, like I mentioned, yeah. So I had a bad novel on the back burner. I'm like, okay, if I don't get this, because I just had the idea of Victorine 2 days before that, so it was this all came together at an interesting sort of boiling point time. And so I was like, okay, well, if I can't get it finished, I know I can submit this novel. And to be honest, the other novel isn't horrible. It's just not great yet. You know what I mean? So maybe that novel could have been helped by the workshop, but I knew that Victorine was I was just so passionate about writing this novel. And I thought, can I do it? This is the right person. The person who's going to be leading the workshop, I think she would be great to get feedback for on this novel. And so I sat down, and thankfully we had a lot of snow that winter because I was indoors as much as I possibly could be writing. And one day I wrote 26 pages. I have never written that many before or since, and my wrists ached so bad. I was in a lot of pain, but I finished it. And, of course, it was very, very rough around the edges. After that, after the workshop and some great feedback from both the mentor and the people in the workshop, I worked on it a little bit more for about 2 years to revise it. But that was sort of off and on. And then I was introduced to my agent, and she took it on, and there we go.
So how many pages is it totally?
Well, print is going to be 350. And so before it was sort of shrunk down, it was like 420-ish. Yeah.
And you're really pleased with the final result?
I am. I mean, that's not to say it's perfect. That's not to say that I wouldn't do things differently. But I feel like I did what I set out to do, and I am pretty happy with it. Yeah.
That's great. And how did you end up with Fleur de Lis Press?
Well, I guess it's all on who you know. I mentioned that I went to Spalding University, and that happens to be their press. Well, what happened was the head of that press loved my book. She was the one who led the workshop, Sina Dieter-Naslund, who I mentioned earlier, and she had led that workshop that I was a part of, and she liked Victorine very much. And she offered to set me up, to meet an agent, and because she said we could publish with Fleur de Lis, or at least that was my gut told me she would, but she wanted something even bigger for Victorine. And so we did some shopping for a while with the agent, trying to find just the right place, but for one reason or another, she didn't find a home. And so then Sina emailed me, and she said, let's do this. Why don't we just put it out through Fleur de Lis? I love this. I don't want it on the shelf one more minute. And I thought that was perfect. I mean, meaning she wanted it out in the world. And so here we go. I'm very, very, very excited for it.
And all this publishing movement started this year, or was it beginning last year to get it published, the journey?
I believe it was April of this year. Yes, and of course that's kind of fast for the publishing industry. Usually you have to wait, a year, year and a half, even 2 years. Wow. So it was, hurry up and write it, hurry up and wait for quite a while, wait some more, and then boom, here we are. So I'm really excited.
So at this point you can pre-order it, is that correct?
Yes, you can pre-order it on Amazon at this point. I hope that it'll go up other places, but at this point, that's where it is. And then it will come out physically March 17th, 2020. Yeah. And that happens to be my parents' anniversary.
Oh, wow.
My dad has passed, but I feel like in a way that honors my parents too. So that means a lot to me. It's a great date.
Great. What do you think are some of the misconceptions people have about writing a book?
Oh, where do we start?
It's so easy to do. No.
Right? Well, I saw this great cartoon. I think I maybe even posted on Instagram recently. It's like, if someone says to me one more time, are you still writing that book? I think they think, because they're not writers, I think they think it's easy. I think they think it'll be quick. That, it's going to be published instantly and it's going to be a bestseller, or they think if you're still doing it, why are you still wasting your time? And I don't think it's a waste of time at all. I think the arts, like your title, is it the artist matters, right?
Right. And the art itself. I mean, both.
Exactly. And then they do matter because art is what makes life bearable, and also it makes it beautiful. There's a line, and I believe it's from Gone with the Wind, but I could be wrong. But it's like, otherwise we're born and we live and we die, that one of the characters says. And I think art is that sort of in-between place. Art and love are those things that make the journey worthwhile. So I guess I'm sort of straying from the question there. But
that's almost like answering my last question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I guess, what I wish is that, I wish people would realize that it is an art and it takes time to get it right. And it's, if it comes from your heart, it's not going to be instantaneous. It's just not.
Well, by that token, do you think we all have an artist inside of us?
Absolutely, I really do. My hairstylist grandfather, again, I said I live in a small town. So my hairstylist grandfather used to be a painter, or was a painter, and his work is displayed in our local library. But I consider his granddaughter, when she does my hair, I mean, she's painting the highlights and, she's creating a shape, and she's very proud of it. She's taking pictures and posting them. Mm-hmm. I think anything can be elevated to an art, anything that makes, life worthwhile.
Any advice for writers?
Oh, my goodness. Two big ones. Mm-hmm. Read, write, repeat. And the biggest one, revise. When you think you're done, go back again and make sure every word is what it should be. Make sure you weigh those words. And not a first draft. A first draft, just get it out there, of course. But just make sure that you said what you mean to say, because the world really needs to hear that.
Your own voice. That's what makes someone want to pick up your book as opposed to someone else's.
Perfect. You're exactly right. We need them all. We need them all out there.
Yes. I've been told by one guest, it's a disservice to the world if you don't put your creative art out there. The world needs it.
Yes. I totally agree with that, 100%.
So that's my advice for writers, too.
Yeah, perfect. And all artists, right?
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Do it.
And where can people connect with you online and purchase your book? You said Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find my book on Amazon. I call myself a little bit of a Tweety bird. I like to tweet a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'm at Drema Drudge on Twitter. My website, dremadrudge.com. You can sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get writing news. You'll hear what's going on with me. You'll hear about the historical fiction world, and since I have an art bent, you'll get some art news. You'll get to hear about other writers and that sort of thing. I'm on Instagram, Drema Drudge. I'm a little bit of everywhere. I also have a Facebook group called the Painted Word Salon. And so it's sort of just getting started, but my idea is for people to meet there and talk about art. That's what I would love to see happen.
Great. And my final question is, why does art matter? And you did answer it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself.
Well, I mean, you could add more if there's any more embellishments, and why does art matter? Anything else?
Yeah, I really think it makes the small moments. It takes those small moments and it elevates them. If it's true, I mean, I feel like I love to go outdoors and look at a leaf and not just say it's a leaf, but it's a miracle, it's a moment, and just really notice that leaf. And I think that's what the arts do for us, is they help us to notice things that maybe no one else has ever noticed before, and it helps us to point out to others those little everyday miracles.
I love it. That's great. Spoken like a true artiste.
You would know, you're one as well.
Yes. And thank you very much for being on. It's been very inspiring, and hope the book does well. Check it out, people. We'll put links on the page, right? You got to check her out. Yeah, support our writers.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to be on with you today. I just really appreciate it so much, and art does matter.
It sure does. Well, thanks, Drema, for being on the show. It was great chatting with you and learning your craft. And, of course, great advice she gives about the misconceptions, that people think it's so easy. And, man, it is not. I wrote my screenplay for Dead Planet, and it took quite a few times to get things right. Even halfway through, I had to change some stuff up. But I understand that. I understand that so much. Of course, her advice on writing is read, write, and repeat. As always, read other people's works, get familiar with it, and write your own stuff, and repeat. Keep doing it, and revise. So well aware of that. You think it's great, but you gotta fix things up. There's going to be mistakes, and you're just getting it out of your system. Maybe the first draft is something that's I got it out there, and I go back and check it out again later. I'm like, oh,